Hello guys, this is your friend Uzumkai Universe 2.0. What if Naruto, and story title is What if Banished Naruto become Black Dragon Emperor and got Harem Part 1. Don't forget like, subscribe and share. Now let's start story. A 5-year-old Naruto was running around the village trying to get away from the angry mob that was giving him chase. Sadly, this was a common occurrence in his life, especially on the anniversary of the defeat of the 12-winged dragon by the hand of the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze, his hero, his inspiration and above all, his father. Yes, he was very aware that the 4th was his father. Many people believed that Naruto has a hard skull, even if they knew that the reason for that would be because nobody in the village would teach him how to read or do math, not even in the orphanage that was supposed to take care of him. That and the fact that he goes running around the village painting shit with his paint bombs, pranking and screaming about being Hokage one day. But the truth is that he is quite the genius. All it took was one comment about him being a mini version of the 4th, a thorough search on people in the village with blonde hair and blue eyes, a nervous-looking 3rd Hokage when being questioned about it, a good look at the face in the monument and then at the mirror, and there you go, the clear answer of who his father was. After finding the truth, he didn't know how to feel about him anymore. He respected him as a Hokage. There was no doubt in him that he was the absolute pinnacle of the word cage. But as his father, he felt conflicted, because even if he gave his life to protect the village from the wrath of the 12 wings alongside a woman named Kushina Uzumaki, who he also had a theory about his relation with her, he or they ultimately gave him the fate of being the pariah and the focus of aggression for the whole village. He knew what he carries inside of him as well. Again, all it took to learn the truth was listening to the names the villagers used to call him: Demon Brat, Dragon Brat, and such, the latter being a good giveaway, but it clicked when somebody used the word Jinchuriki. Not knowing what it meant, he snuck into the library and began searching for the term, and after finding that it was used to refer to the containers of the tailed beasts, he just put 2 and 2 together and it all made sense: the names, the glares, the insults, the hate. Maybe his father and probable mother thought that the village would love him and see him as a hero. Thinking that the previous Jinchuriki of the village, Kushina, the carrier of the 9-tailed fox, who was already a respected kunoichi known throughout the lands as the red-hot habanero, before it became public knowledge that she carried the 9 tails, became a hero after working together with the fox and the 4th to protect the village from the dragon. They might have believed that the reputation would be carried onto the newborn. But he still thought that they should have known that the people would hate the demon that brought them close to annihilation and that killed so many loved ones of the survivors of the attack, along with the fact that for some reason the knowledge of his heritage was to be kept hidden from the village. Instead of hopes for a bright future for their son, they should have known that it wasn't going to be that way, coupled with the fact that the 9 tails mysteriously disappeared from the world after the battle, adding the unwarranted hate brought by losing their biggest weapon to the dragon. They ultimately left him to pay for their decision. Noble as it might have been, it still doomed him to be a 5-year-old with over a dozen assassination attempts on his head. In the off chance that he was wrong and they weren't his parents, that just made them even worse persons in his eyes by sacrificing an abandoned newborn. So that left him with an incredible bitter savor about his father. While it might have been the most difficult thing in the world to sacrifice your and your children's life to fulfill your duty to the village, he or her were not the ones trying to get away from the very ones that they protected. "Stop running, you damn demon!" an angry male villager screamed. "Kill the dragon, kill him!" a female villager exclaimed while throwing rocks at the little blonde. "You won't escape the legacy of the 4th, we will honor his sacrifice by finishing what he and Lady Kushina started." Another said proudly, as if he was not trying to kill a 5-year-old. Oh, the irony, there's just no point anymore, Naruto thought tiredly while making it look like he had tripped over some rocks. He then closed his eyes and just waited for his death. He didn't have to wait long, as the villagers quickly surrounded him and started beating and spitting him all over the place. But not having enough, some of the villagers who were already wasted grabbed some kunai and began to stab him to finish him off once and for all. Trying to ignore the pain and mentally cursing his parents and the village, he kept his mouth and eyes shut tight until eventually, he felt a huge pain in his heart and immediately all went dark. Soon after, the villagers were starting to cheer and congratulate each other for a job well done, shouting the name of the fourth to celebrate. It didn't last though, as they were quickly detained by mud. The villagers looked around for the caster of the jutsu and they saw an Anbu with white hair and a dog mask with his hands on the ground. Soon after, a female Anbu with a cat mask and purple hair began to cuff them and knock them harshly, mentally cursing each and every one of them and herself, for falling on the diversion the villagers used to throw them off the chase. A third Anbu with black hair and a weasel mask then appeared and quickly made his way towards the limp child. God, what the did you people just do? He shouted angrily towards the drunken shinobi among the villagers, the ones responsible for stabbing the boy. We saved the village, that's what we did. Having that damn demon among us was an insult to us and the memory of the fourth. An angry drunken kunoichi answered back. He's just a child, you bitch. The female Anbu said from behind her before knocking her out cold. Cat. Weasel. Keep your emotions for when you're alone, the white-haired Anbu reprimanded them before turning towards the other male Anbu to say, Weasel, how is Naruto? The dog-masked Anbu asked with a hint of dread and sorrow in his voice. He's gone. Weasel responded dryly, his voice seemingly devoid of emotion. I failed you again, sensei. The white-haired Anbu thought with great sorrow, take his body to a safe place and stay with him while we carry these scum to the Hokage. He ordered while making his way to transport the arrested villagers to the Hokage tower. He turned around and saw the female Anbu looking transfixed at the body of the boy. He brought her attention back when he shouted, Cat, get a move on. Right, Captain. The distracted Anbu answered and began to help her Anbu captain with taking the unconscious people to the Hokage tower. Weasel finished cleaning the body as best as he could from all the blood and then, he began to carry him towards the boy's house. He casted his gaze down on him and soon, a lone tear fell from his chin towards the body of the boy while saying, Naruto, I'm so sorry. Naruto's eyes slowly opened from their slumber. He felt confused when after looking around a little, he found himself laying on the ground on a weird-looking hall. Getting on his feet, he realized that he was in some sort of sewer. Ha ha ha, this is just great. Either heaven is too overrated or hell is more comfortable than my own apartment. Naruto said sarcastically. He then heard a grumble that sounded like something about stupid loud brats, followed by a low roar that seemed to call on his name. Naruto began to walk around, trying to follow the sound of the low roars until he arrived to a large room lit by two big candles with what seemed to be black fire. On the other end of the room, instead of being another wall, there were large metal bars with a seal on the middle. Behind the bars all Naruto could see was nothing but darkness. Until a bit further from the bars, one giant neon green eye with an equal neon red pupil with a golden slit in the middle shot open. Quickly the other eye shot open as well and the creature which those frightening eyes belonged to made its way slowly towards the bars of its cage, revealing a terrifying yet beautiful and magnificent red dragon with some black markings around its body and on the membrane of its giant 12 wings, each one being smaller than the one on top. The mighty dragon then lowered its head to see eye to eye with the boy and let out a small breath that carried enough force to make Naruto stumble back a little. Straightening himself up, he locked eyes with the dragon and began walking a little closer to it, seemingly unafraid. The two let some seconds pass with their eyes locked at each other before the silence was finally broken by the Uzumaki. So you're the 12 wings, huh? The 12-winged dragon that attacked the leaf and lost to the fourth and the Jinchuriki of the 9 tails. Naruto said calmly. Grr, you insolent brat. If it weren't for these damn bars I would eat you just to shit you later. But, I got to give it to you boy, you really aren't as dumb as people give you the credit for. Here I thought you would be crying and shitting yourself for being in my presence, even knowing that you already knew I was sealed inside you. You're indeed as interesting as I thought. The being spoke with a low and divine sound to its voice. Woo, what? How do you know that I knew? Naruto replied with great surprise. Letting a deep sigh, the dragon responded, but maybe you're not that smart either. The dragon mocked just loud enough for Naruto to hear it. Our minds are connected, you fool. I can hear all of your thoughts. I know that you found out about me being sealed inside you and that your father was that blasted man that you called a fourth, and also that the woman with him was probably your mother. He added with annoyance. Right. Then why can't I hear yours? Is it a one-way connection? The blonde asked while tilting his head to the side as a clear sign of confusion. No, you were just too weak to be able to communicate with me. Your death forced me to do all I could to keep your soul here, along with keeping your body from decomposing. The mighty beast replied dryly, showing a little bit of intrigue while waiting for the boy's reaction. Sue, I'm in some sort of limbo then. Uzumaki replied nonchalantly, appearing to be at peace with his own death. Slightly lifting the scales above its right eye, making it look like as if it was arching an eyebrow, the dragon replied, You're taking this much lighter than I would have thought, but to answer your question, no, you died, I just brought you back. Why? The 5-year-old asked sternly. Sigh. 2 reasons. First, if you die while I'm here inside you, I die with you, considering that I'm supposed to be immortal. Well, that would be just a bad look on my resume. The dragon then rested its giant head on its 2 front legs before continuing. And second, in truth, to give you somewhat of an apology. The fools in your village don't have the brains to differentiate between a 5-year-old boy and an 100 meters tall red dragon. And because of that stupidity, your people have poured all their fear and hatred for me into you. That much was true. The dragon did felt a tiny bit of guilt for the boy's mistreatment from his own village. I might be the being on which your kin base the one you call Satan off, but I am not someone that destroys shit just for laughs. My job is to oversee darkness and death in life, nothing more, nothing less. The red dragon finished, giving a small apologetic voice. I see, Naruto said while nodding slightly. He then looked at the dragon again and added, Well, thank you, but I honestly don't think you're the one that should be apologizing though. Wah. Now, there's a tiny list of things that had shocked the mighty dragon, and hearing the boy that has it sealed inside of him and that dude to that has been treated even worse than shit, to say that you shouldn't apologize for the treatment that should be directed to you, has been definitely added to that list. Why would you say that? It said, genuinely curious. Seating on the flooded floor, Naruto realized that the water that surrounded him seemed to phase through him instead of soaking him. He looked up to the ceiling and elaborated, Well, while you are indeed a frightening being to see, the way you talk, act and look lets me see that you are as much a prisoner to me as I am to you. Plus, seeing you now directly, the bloodthirsty beast that cares for nothing but death and destruction, does seems too far beneath the being I'm seeing right now. He finished with utmost conviction in his own deduction. Yeah, I'm always right with my picks. The dragon thought smugly. Again, you impressed me with your insight, boy. Even with all your knowledge, I thought you would lash out at me and blame me for everything, it said while adding mentally, Father knows you have the right. The small boy shook his head to the sides while saying, Nope, I would have if you were the creature the world seems to think you are. But seeing you eye to eye and the fact that I don't even know your story, it would make me just as foolish as the villagers. That's why I only have one question for you regarding everything though. He then locked his 2 blue eyes to the dragon's glowing eyes and asked calmly, Why? Elaborate brat. The dragon replied dryly, Not being the mindless creature that people say you are, why did you attack the village? It does seem a small thing for you to do. Naruto explained. Sighing, the dragon rested its head above its massive claws and closed its eyes, letting some time pass to recollect its thoughts. It opened them again after some moments and answered, Yes, you are correct, I didn't attack the village for fun, I don't even care about the human world at all. But you see, before the attack on your village, I had a fight with my brother Arkham. You could say that he is my counterpart in life. The fight was large and in the end I left victorious, but not unscathed. With me leaving weak and distracted, I failed to realize that there was somebody lurking in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity at whoever left with the win. When I realized his presence, It was already too late, and with his damned eyes managed to influence me enough to attack your village. I could feel that he tried to control me, but he was a mere mortal and did not have the power to control a being like me, but it was enough to suggest me to do it. Looking at his reflection on the water below, Naruto let the information sink in to recollect his thoughts and to find what he wanted to ask next. Looking up at the dragon again, he said, I see, but if what you say about that mortals do not have the power to control you is true, then why are you imprisoned here in me? I don't doubt that the fourth was strong, but as far as I know, he was human as well, so what makes me any different than them is apparently I'm able to keep you locked here. I mean, if we cannot control you, then I guess much less imprison you, inside one of us. Suddenly Naruto's eyes grew wide as a 9 months pregnant woman's belly when he realized why that might be. He then quickly directed his gaze at the dragon's eyes as if searching for confirmation of his theory. The dragon just looked at the boy and let a small proud smirk for its container's deduction skills. Naruto then answered himself later, you are here because you want to. Adding to the already mixed feelings about both his father and the dragon, Naruto felt even more confused at the implication that sealing the dragon wasn't a matter of a last effort to protect the village, but a decision that was part of a larger plan for who knows what. With a small spike of anger and confusion, he then asked, why? Why would you want to be sealed here? Why me? Answering your thoughts, your father had nothing to do with this. He, like most of humanity, believes that I am a tailed beast, as you call them, so he thought that I could be sealed inside you. He was able to do that with the help of the fox and the death god, who hates my guts if I may add. They were able to do it because, as I said earlier, I was in a weakened state, but he did not know that I could have easily break free once I recovered my strength, which would have taken me a couple of weeks at most. The dragon replied simply, almost bored. But then why not break free once you could? What is the purpose of you being here? Naruto replied heatedly, still feeling really angry for apparently being used in a scheme he has no idea about. The reason for why I didn't broke free was because I felt something in you. Call it a hunch if you want, but it is something I've been looking for some time now. And the purpose of me being here is to prepare you for your future. The 12 Wings explained. Why? What's in it that you want to prepare me? And what do you mean by prepare? The blonde continued his interrogation. With an annoyed tone in its voice and having its eyes closed as if bored, the dragon answered, what's in store for you is something that I will not reveal until I deem you ready, and that is not debatable. And by prepare, I meant that I will train you. As a full-fledged warrior, you will learn how to fight as a true dragon would. Already forgetting almost everything after hearing the words, I will train you, the blonde stood up excitedly and with stars in his eyes, he said, who shit, really? That's awesome. But wait, how do dragons fight though? I don't get that since, well, you know, I'm not one. So you think? The dragon thought before replying, we dragons are the top of the chain on almost everything, especially pride and power, hence our fights always change landscapes. We prove to everybody that when it comes to fighting in power, there's no other kind like ours, so when I say that you'll learn how to fight like us, I mean that you'll fight with your fists, heart, flashy shit and untamable guts. The dragon then flashed the boy a fierce smirk to make him more excited, which definitely did. Whoa, I'ma be a badass then. Naruto claimed excitedly while punching the air as if kicking someone's sorry. Sigh, yes you very well might be, but if you show me that you also possess the intelligence and calculation of a leader, I might even let you lead my kin. That's why I also want you to get someone to teach you in the shinobi arts, since you will have to grow not just in power and mind, but in your position in the world as well. The beast said while narrowing its giant eyes, trying to give more seriousness to its words. Well now, that's going to be a little difficult since you know, everyone hates my guts. The old man and the 3 Anbu that have been taking care of me in the past year are the only ones that could give me such training, but I don't think they will do it, especially the old man since he seems to be somewhat uneasy with my wish of being a shinobi. Quote. Naruto then sat cross-legged on the floor again, pondering on who could teach him, that is, until some of the words of the dragon finally registered on his mind. He stood up quickly and looked up at the giant being while screaming, "Your kin. There are more of you. Why nobody has seen them? And how would I lead them?" The dragon let out a small low chuckle, amused at his outburst, before explaining, "That is something that you will know in due time. As to how will you lead them, think of it as a summoning contract if you wish." The beast then let a tired sigh and added, "Now, that's enough talk for now. I'm finishing the process of reconstructing your body from a cellular level, hence the long wait. I'm just finishing healing all your external wounds, only the scar that was done to you as a newborn is left to heal. No, leave it as it is." Naruto replied with a stern voice that seemed to belong to an adult. "Why would you want that?" the dragon asked, genuinely curious. "So I don't forget." The last Uzumaki replied dryly while looking down slightly. "Good," the dragon thought, giving the boy a small smirk, understanding what he meant. It then replied, "Very well, it is all done, just focus on the outside world and you'll wake up. From now on we'll be able to speak mentally with each other. I also took the liberty to allow myself to see through your eyes and feel what you feel. Get some rest because we will start your training tomorrow." The 12 wings then added with irritation, "Now go. I want to get back to my sleep and you've annoyed me enough already." Getting ready to leave, Naruto looked at the dragon and grinned before saying with a sweet tone, "Ah, it was lovely to speak with you as well. I see around then, nighty scaly ball." He quickly focused on the outside of his mindscape to leave, which was proving difficult because he was laughing his off after seeing the grumpy look on the mighty beast's face and the claw trying to hit where he was standing, followed by a grumbling about, "Disrespectful blonde brats." With that, he left the mindscape feeling more excited than ever in his life, eager to begin his training and to look for a shinobi willing to teach him. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, is a calm, wise and cheerful man loved by the whole village, usually going around and showing love to his people by giving them a kind warm smile for all to see. However, today was not the case. "This better be a joke because God help me," Hiruzen muttered while trying to control his anger. The third was walking at a fast pace towards the holding cells of the Hokage Tower, spreading enormous amount of killer intent after receiving the report that the villagers had apparently killed Naruto Uzumaki, who to the third, was like a grandson. Arriving to the cells, he looked around and saw the villagers and some of the shinobi with blood on their feet. The villagers just started to shiver in fear under the murderous glare that their leader was giving them all. The old-timer then approached the Anbu captain and ordered, "Hound, report." Hound looked at the Hokage, his eyes showing a great amount of pain and regret when he explained. "Yes, Lord Hokage, while me, Weasel and Cat were watching the boy from the roofs. We managed to catch sight of a mob that was gathering near Naruto's house. We started to get ready to escort the boy to his apartment, but we didn't realize that the mob was meant to keep us occupied while some of the shinobi that were with the mob threw smoke bombs to cloud our view. The time that they managed to delay us was enough for us to lose sight of Naruto and the mob. Once we caught up with them, it was already too late." Quote. Hound looked down trying to be as cold as he could to keep his pain in check. He looked back at the Hokage and finished. "When we arrived at the scene, we saw the villagers celebrating. I seized the chance and kept them in place with a mud jutsu while Cat cuffed and knocked them out. Weasel made his way to check on Naruto who wasn't moving when we arrived and, sigh, he confirmed that Naruto was dead. Some of the people that were in the cells showed joy at the news, while others were smiling smugly as if they were heroes. That was of course until an incredible amount of killing intent was released from the third, so powerful was that it could be felt throughout the whole village, making the civilians practically shit themselves." Steadying his breathing, the third directed his gaze towards an uneasy Cat, who along with Hound and Weasel, made the team that started to take care of Naruto after the third found that many of the ninjas that were assigned to keep an eye on the boy seemed to only interfere after the boy was already badly wounded. He chose the three that seemed to genuinely care for the boy as his guardians. Hound being one of the students of Naruto's father and the only one with the knowledge of his heritage. Weasel, who felt bad after seeing that Naruto was always at the park just sitting on the grass watching the other kids play while their parents kept their gazes on Naruto to make sure he didn't came near their children. He started to take him to the park whenever he had a chance to. Naruto at first felt wary of the sudden show of kindness directed towards him, but the feeling quickly turned into a brotherly love, which was returned by Weasel. And finally, Kat, who was one of Naruto's mother's students, although she didn't know for certain that the boy was Kushina's son, the third had the feeling that she suspected it, since she became very protective of the boy. The other only ninja that the third could trust with Naruto's safety was Anko Mitarashi, another pariah of the village and Orochimaru's former student. She became Naruto's official handler, for whenever he ran around causing mayhem throughout the village with his pranks, making the two form a bond thanks to the connection of being the outcasts of the village, and Anko always seemed too eager for Naruto's pranks to begin the chase. To this date, Naruto has never been caught doing a prank, and not even the Anbu had been able to caught up with him. Anko is the only one that has achieved that, although, the third had a feeling that Naruto did that on purpose just to prank Anko directly. Hiruzen let out a painful sigh and asked, "Where did Weasel took Naruto?" "To the boy's house," the Anbu captain answered. Turning around, Sarutobi started to walk through the cells when another Anbu asked, "What do we do with the detainees, Lord Third?" The third stopped near the exit door and looked over his shoulder towards the Anbu that spoke and ordered coldly, "Execute them, all." "What? Why you can't do this?" A now scared ninja stuttered. "We saw save the V village from that D demon." A civilian woman screeched. "We are just see civilians, what about OU?" Another civilian was saying before a now sober shinobi cut him off. "That is just unlawful, the council won't allow." The one that delivered the killing blow on Naruto said before being painfully interrupted by an enraged third Hokage. The third jumped towards the shinobi that spoke last and grabbed him by the throat while stating with a cold and strong voice to everyone around, "I am the Hokage, my word is the law, not the elders, not the councils, mine. Execute them ORISWERIWI." Before anything else could be said, a huge power wave was felt throughout the village and a frightening known shiver along with it. The third then quickly looked towards Hound and Cat and ordered them to go with him, praying to the gods above that the dragon hasn't escaped the seal. Weasel got back on his feet after a powerful wave of energy was released from Naruto's body that pushed him to the wall. He looked in shock as a red bubbly substance surrounded the body of the boy, modifying it. The sound of bones breaking and fixing themselves covered the room, while Weasel almost could feel the pain by watching the boy's body growing in height and muscle mass, losing all of his baby fat in the process, replacing it with pure muscle. His blonde hair seems to be gaining like a golden glow, and his aura started to flood the room with a feeling of authority, like if Weasel was in the presence of the biggest alpha in the world. That was the sight that the third along with the two other Anbu walked into. Both Hiruzen and Hound felt almost the same that Weasel was feeling from the boy, while Cat looked uneasy as if aroused, which was weird for her since she had a boyfriend and Naruto was 5 years old, but it was like something immense was emanating from his presence. After a couple of minutes, whatever was happening to Naruto stopped and he then opened his eyes abruptly. Those present in the room were startled when they could see that his blue eyes seemed to have gained an unnatural glow along with a golden slit that replaced the natural black dot of the pupil. His canines looked sharper as well. All in all, he had a more commanding and feral look. "Ah, what the F?" Naruto said before closing his eyes quickly due to the pain that suddenly assaulted his head. He grabbed his throbbing head and started to feel dizzy, like if a whole library's worth of information was being poured violently into his mind. Feeling pained and confused, he heard the voice of the dragon inside his head explaining. "Relax, brat. What you're feeling is your new enhanced senses. The confusion and pain is because your mind has to get used to the new range of them. Think of it as if your whole body except your mind have been upgraded." The dragon mentally said to him with a bored tone. "Oh, I can even hear and feel the heart of the people around me." It's too much, damn it. How do I control it? Naruto mentally replied frantically, trying to maintain his conscious on. It will take some time to get used to, but in the meantime I'll focus my healing powers on your brain to help you process all the information that you are receiving until your brain gets accustomed to it. For now, just focus on your immediate surroundings and you'll be fine. The dragon answered calmly. Alright, focus, focus, focus. I can feel 4 presences around, 3 of them seem to be male and 1 female. Strange, the female seems flustered by something, her heart is beating like crazy, the other 3 seem like frightened. Naruto thought after focusing on his surroundings before he suddenly felt really warm while his head was being pushed into something soft and squishy. Opening his eyes, he saw that the softness and warmth came from the cat Anbu, more specifically, her. You're alive. Thank God, Cat said while embracing Naruto with all her might, suffocating him in the process, not that he minded going like this at all though. Cat, I think he needs to breathe, Hound said, while the others present were sweat dropping at the woman's sudden excitement. Ah, right. Sorry Naru, she said while nervously giggling, blushing like mad behind her mask. She then reluctantly and carefully broke the embrace with the blonde Uzumaki. Haha. Don't worry about it, Cat, Naruto said with an equal mad blush and a nervous laugh. Ahem. Naruto, are you okay? What happened? The third asked him. Well, I honestly don't know, old man, you tell me. Naruto scratched his scruff and continued. The last thing I remember was being surrounded by the villagers and then boom. All went black, then well, here I am. He feigned ignorance. Naruto, you met it, didn't you? The Anbu captain asked dryly, knowing that the boy was lying. Sigh. I just can't fool you now, can I, Kakashi, hehe. Naruto responded with a nervous laugh. Nope, Kakashi said while giving him an eye smile behind his mask, God knows how he does that. Well, the third said after some seconds of silence. Yeah, I met the scaly ball, Naruto replied, earning an annoyed grunt from his tenant at the nickname. Chuckling, Naruto continued, I suppose that you're asking because of my new appearance. Well, he said that its tenant cannot be a pathetic weak fool, so it made some adjustments to my body so I can defend us both, since apparently if I die, so does it. He responded, keeping the real conversation as a secret. Did it tell you anything else? The old Hokage inquired further. Nope. Just, don't die again, idiot, Naruto said, using a mock voice of the dragon, making those present chuckle at his upbeat attitude even in such circumstances. Haha. Well then, I'm relieved to see that you are alright. Now, get some rest, Naruto, you've earned it, Sarutobi said while patting the boy's head. He then turned towards the raven-haired Anbu and added, Weasel will stay here to keep an eye on you for the rest of the night. Hound, Cat, come on, let's get back to the Hokage Tower. I'm sure that Kaharu, Homura and Danzo are already there with the council panicking over the energy wave. He said tiredly, sigh, let's see with what nonsense they come up to try and lock Naruto away or to be trained by Danzo. Those civilian and elder fools are always going to extremes when it comes to Naruto. At least he's alive and I can feel great power now coming from him. Just how far will your boy go, Minato and Kushina? I wonder. The third thought while saying goodnight to Naruto along with the others, with an added kiss on Naruto's cheek by Cat, making the third chuckle at Naruto's red face. After the third and the Anbu left, Weasel approached Naruto and while ruffling his hair, he said, You gave us quite the scare, Naruto. I was afraid I was going to lose you, little brother, I'm sorry for not being there. The usually stoic Anbu said, showing a strange moment of emotion. Naruto stood up from the bed and hugged Weasel tightly while saying, There's nothing to be sorry, big brother Itachi. I'm sure you did everything you could. The important thing is that I survived and you can buy me that new ramen flavor that the old man Tuki created. He said excitedly at the thought of a new flavor of the food of the gods to taste. Haha, okay, but still, given what happened today, I think it's appropriate that I give you special training so when you find yourself in these kind of situations by your own, you can protect yourself. Plus, with the improvements that the 12 wings made, I believe you can get very strong, even before you can go to the academy. Itachi said to a shocked Naruto, who only gave him a blank look. Well, that was quick. Tell me about it, both Naruto and the 12 wings mentally exclaimed before Naruto started jumping around, pumping fists in the air while saying, "Oh, awesome. I'm going to be such a badass ninja. Just like you, big bro." Yeah, that's the idea. Now come on, go to bed and get some sleep. I'm gonna have to train you in secret so nobody interferes with us, so we'll have to do it at the earliest hour in the forest of death, so you need to get some sleep, and no telling anyone about it, alright? Itachi said. Sir. Yes, sir. Naruto screamed with a mock salute, but stopped Itachi before he left the apartment. But, Itachi. There's something I didn't tell you about my meeting with the dragon, he said timidly while thinking. Here we go. Itachi turned to him with a questioning look due to the boy's sudden change in attitude before nodding and dragging a chair in front of Naruto's bed to listen to the real conversation with the 12-winged dragon. Needless to say, it was a long night. For 3 years Naruto has been in a secret training with both the 12 wings and Itachi, if you can call getting his handed to him both physically and mentally by them, training, that is. But there's no doubt that he has improved greatly. He was now 8 years old and in terms of speed, strength and jutsus, he was easily nearing high Chunin level. When it comes to taijutsu and power, he was without doubt a low Jonin level. But his genjutsu, while not abysmal, wasn't good at all. Due to his giant chakra reserves he could never achieve the control necessary to cast them, but he was able to dispel them up to a high level C rank. The ones above were dispelled by the dragon itself. The only reason he wasn't higher level was because he was still a child, so even if he did has a big dragon inside him and cage chakra capacity levels, his body could only take so much, but according to his teachers, he had the potential to be the fastest man that has ever lived. He has also changed physically. While not buffed, he was fit, gaining a lot popularity among the female population, which freaked him out because he knew that the dragon had something to do with it, but it always said that it will tell him when the time comes, much to Naruto's ire. He stopped wearing his signature orange jumpsuit in exchange for a black jacket with neon orange ornaments, a gray shirt with a red dragon face tribal design on the front, black Anbu pants with orange stripes on the sides and dark blue ninja sandals. His hair and eyes never lost the glow, so Itachi taught him a basic genjutsu to hide the glow on both his eyes and hair, but he only used the one on his hair since to cover his eyes, he got himself some red shades in honor to his new idol. Itachi is a man that rarely shows emotion, especially regret. There have been less than a few times when he showed such emotion. 2 of those times had to do with Naruto. The first, when he arrived too late 3 years ago and failed to save his life, after Naruto told him about what truly transpired between him and the 12 wings, the regret grew more because Naruto had indeed died, but he turned that regret into determination to make his adoptive little brother a badass shinobi, so he won't ever be pushed around anymore. The other was the one that he regretted the most. On Naruto's 7th birthday, Itachi bought him a music player along with a forgotten record on the corner of the store. Never in his right mind would have he thought that an album called Bit Ma Tongue by the Mighty Killer Bee featuring Big Cloud would have such an impact on Naruto, an embarrassing one at that. As soon as he finished listening the record, Naruto took on preaching about Killer Bee's abilities to rap, which to everyone but him were awful. The blonde Uzumaki also adopted a bit of his eccentric persona. Thank God he hadn't started rapping around, or so Itachi hoped. After being revealed to him that Killer Bee was Cloud's Jinchuriki, his admiration for the dark-skinned rapper blew through the roofs, to the point where Naruto proclaimed that one day, he would become Bee's spiritual successor, much to the dread of those around him. But the cheerful and kind knucklehead never changed, he only matured. His pranks were bigger in scale and not even Anko with the help of Ibiki had managed to trace a prank back to Naruto. Lately, Not even Anko was enough to give chase, so a new handler was added to help Anko, a kunoichi specialized in tracking, Hana Inuzuka. The Inuzuka felt insulted at first for being put on babysitting duty, but quickly grew fond of the blonde after one big chase where she almost caught him but lost track of him eventually. Hana felt really frustrated for losing him after chasing for a good part of the night. She hungrily got back home but was surprised when she found a note praising her for being the closest ever to caught up with him, along with an all-you-can-eat coupon for her favorite barbecue restaurant, a gesture that greatly touched her. Said Inuzuka was currently running through the trees in the forest of death on search for the blonde, who, for some reason, spent most of his time training inside the forest. She was looking for him to finish his training with his smell and hearing. After gaining his trust, Naruto explained what the 12 wings had done to his body and how it had upgraded all of his senses. So he asked her if she could help him sharp his senses of smell and hearing. Since those were the biggest advantages the Inuzuka had, she was stunned by the revelation but agreed nonetheless. So for the past months she has been helping him getting used to the smells and sounds around him. Since the academy was due to start in a few days, she wanted to finish his training before he entered. Damn it, Naruto, where are you? I've been running around this fricking forest for over half an hour, she angrily said to the winds. Getting frustrated, she went deeper into the forest, to where a big lake was. It was one of the most dangerous places in the forest since giant grumpy crabs live there, but knowing Naruto and his ability to get into dangerous situations, she wouldn't be surprised to find him there, which the sounds of grunts and crab pincers closing proved her right. She then headed closer to the river, but she had to suddenly stop to avoid being hit by a black projectile that crashed on a near tree followed by a grunt. Oh shit, that hurt. When did these shelled bastards learn how to use teamwork? Yo, don't tell me that I made him fools evolve for sake. Naruto screamed while getting on his feet to prepare a counterattack against the crabs, that is, until he noticed Hana looking at him with a confused expression. Yo Hanny, what you doing here? Naruto asked while squinting his eyes and tilting his head to the side. I've been looking for why, you dummy. I wanted to finish your training before the academy's start, but here I find you decimating the crabs, Hana said after regaining her composure from the cute look that Naruto sent her way. Hey, dem fools started it. Plus our feud is 2 years long and growing. I vowed that I will decimate these assholes and I will keep that vow. Leroy Jenkins, Naruto said before giving a war cry and jumping to engage the crabs once again. Though he found himself being grabbed on the back of his jacket by an angry-looking Hana who began to drag the boy out of the forest while screaming obscenities to the crabs. Geez Naruto, can't you keep yourself out of trouble for at least a day? Hana retorted while shamelessly dragging the blonde through the dirt. Hey, it's all just like what the mighty says, don't fear the trouble, don't fear the dream. Make no grumble and make it legit. Yeah, Naruto said while crossing his arms in extravagant ways to make his point clearer. Grr, just what the hell does that even means? It doesn't even make sense. Seriously, stop listening to that guy's rap, it's just filling your head with nonsense. Hana angrily replied while dragging Naruto through the village, now by the wrist at least. Huff, shame, there's just no love for true art. Hey, where are we going now? He said. He really felt sad to see such heresy from his precious people. He wanted them to understand the message the mighty was giving, but they stubbornly continued to deny such enlightenment. Poor fools. She just sighed tiredly. She really liked the boy a lot, but she will never understand his love for such nonsense. To my clan's training grounds, I want to see how you use the knowledge I gave you in a spar against one of us. Hana responded. But wouldn't your clan be angry if they knew that you taught me some of your techniques? The Uzumaki said while scratching his cheek. Yeah, they would, but before I started training you, I asked my mother if it was alright. She was hesitant at first until I told her that it was for you, so she agreed. She's the head of the clan, so nobody can go against her. Plus, we'll be in my family's private grounds, so nobody will be the wiser. Hana said when they reached the front doors of the Inuzuka compound. As they walked towards the clan's head residence, Hana noticed that the dogs around the compound felt intimidated by Naruto's presence. Some of the smaller dogs were even whimpering, hiding behind their masters. They weren't the only ones affected though. The male Inuzuka members seemed to be aggressive towards the boy, as if they felt their claimed territory was being threatened by the blonde, while the females seemed to be flustered as he walked past them. Some of the younger ones were even blushing like mad, which agitated the males even more. They weren't the only females affected though, as Hana felt the same way when she met the boy for the first time. She might not be as feral as her clansmen since for some reason, she didn't inherited most of the traits and bloodlines of her clan, which bothered her greatly. Because of that, most of her clan tends to look down on her. She knows that if she weren't the clan's head daughter they would have likely kicked her out of the clan already. But she did possesses the basics of her clan, her smell, ability to understand dogs and their combination jutsus and their animalistic instincts. Those same instincts are the ones that drives her mad with arousal whenever she is in the presence of Naruto. She had asked the Heimaru brothers if they've felt something special coming from Naruto once before. They answered that Naruto had a strange smell of an alpha, but it was abnormally strong. They even said that if he got stronger through the years, they might even feel compelled to do as he bid, which was very strange to hear from such prideful dogs. The boy was a huge mystery indeed. Suddenly, the sound of her name being called broke her out of her thoughts. "I'm sorry, Naruto, what did you said?" Hana asked with a faint blush on her cheeks. "I asked if I was going to fight you," he repeated, smirking internally after seeing the cute blush adorning the Inuzuka heiress' gorgeous face. "Nope, you're strong, but I'm still better using my senses than you, so I really wouldn't be able to see how far you have come unless you fight someone at your level," Hana responded before arriving at the training ground. "Then against who?" Naruto asked as he walked right behind her through the gates of the grounds. When they arrived, he noticed two boys sitting on a tree branch at the other side of the ground. One was a boy with a green coat covering almost all of his body, stopping just below the nose. He was wearing dark circular shades and had brown wild hair. The other one looked a lot like Hana. He had brown spiky hair, triangular red marks like the ones that Hana has just below his eyes, a gray sweatshirt with fur at the end of the sleeves and hoodie, and a white puppy on top of his head. "Why, my little brother, of course. Hey, come on," Hana said with a smile as she urged the boys to come close. As the boys approached, Hana said, "Naruto, this is my brother Kiba and his friend Shino. Kiba will be your opponent for this spar. It's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto," Shino said politely. "PFT, you want me to spar with this whelp?" Kiba scoffed while looking at the Uzumaki as if he was nothing but a mere pest. "Don't get ahead of yourself, Kiba. My bugs feel agitated in his presence, and as you can see, so does Akamaru," Shino stated while pointing towards the white pup. "What? Come on, boy, he doesn't even look strong. We're going to end this quick," Kiba stated with arrogance while petting the dog's head, who was hiding inside Kiba's sweatshirt. "That arrogance of yours might get you killed someday, Kiba. Stop barking and put some strength behind those words," an equally gorgeous and more feral older version of Hana said behind the group, accompanied by a scary wolfish-looking dog with black fur with a white underside and a patch on its right eye. "Listen to your mother, pup. This boy is no joke," the dog said, surprising the Inuzuka trio, including Sum. "Well, if Kuromaru says that, then I guess I have to be serious with you," Kiba said while getting ready for the spar. "So this is the infamous Naruto Uzumaki, huh? I've heard a lot about you, boy. The name's Sum. I am both Hana and Kiba's mother," Sum said approaching the group. She froze though, as the moment she got close to Naruto, she felt a strong pull towards him and even felt slightly excited. Shocked, she glimpsed towards Hana, who gave her a look as if saying I feel the same. She then looked at Kuromaru, who had eyes of respect towards the boy, confusing her even more. "Alright, enough chit-chat. Let's begin this match." Quote. Getting out of the shock for seeing her fierce mother in a similar situation as her and the Inuzuka females, Hana said while pulling out 2 bandanas from her pouch. She tied them around both boys' heads to block their eyes, and after placing them on different spots, she added, "The rules of this spar are simple. You can only use taijutsu and you can only use your nose and ears to track your opponent, knock your opponent out or make him submit to win the spar." Roger. Both boys said, preparing their stances while the rest of the observers went to the sidelines. Hana stepped forward and screamed, "Begin." Both combatants stood their ground without moving a muscle, trying to listen to the other's movements or locating the other's scent. That all changed when suddenly, Naruto jumped straight at Kiba with his fist at the front. Kiba felt the hit coming at the very last moment, barely avoiding the fist directed to his jaw. However, he couldn't avoid Naruto's knee aimed at his stomach, sending him skidding backwards a little. The Inuzuka boy then clutched his stomach while giving a pained grunt. "What the hell? How did he found me so damn fast? I couldn't smell him or even hear his breath, and it took him seconds to connect with me. This guy is definitely no joke," Kiba thought while crouching and trying to find Naruto's presence. On the sidelines, watching the spar on the side across from Shino, the Inuzuka mother and daughter watched as Naruto was easily fighting Kiba using only 2 senses. Hana then turned towards her mother and asked, "Mom, you felt it too, right? When you got close to Naruto, his presence, it's like suffocating." Sum then replied without losing her attention at the one-sided spar, "I hate to admit it, pup, but yes, the boy's presence, it's indeed arousing." Hana was greatly surprised at her mother's admission. The Inuzuka clan head then added, "His status as an alpha, it's already established. I cannot imagine how overwhelming his presence will be when he reaches maturity." It shocked Hana to hear a little bit of lust slipping into her mother's words as she said that. "Yeah, do you think it's because of the dragon?" Hana asked, while bringing her brown eyes back to the spar. "No, what you feel right now is entirely the boy's presence, and it has huge potential. Maybe in the future it could even compare to the dragon's. The 12 Wings presence is something I've never felt in my life. Not even my ancestor Fenrir has such commanding and frightening aura. If you want to feel what the dragons feel, just focus deeper within the boy's aura and you'll feel a glimpse of the 12 Wings presence," Kuromaru said, shocking both Inuzuka after hearing the proudest of the Inuzuka clan's dogs admitting a bigger alpha. Looking at the boy, both women did as Kuromaru said and started to focus on the presence within Naruto's aura, which was proving difficult due to the blonde's powerful and thick aura. After a few moments of concentration, they felt an incredible amount of power course through their bodies. The presence was such that it even drew a bit of their animalistic instincts out, arousing both women to the point that they even felt their undergarments getting a little wet. Granted, Sum had faced the mighty dragon on the day of its fierce attack, but back then, she only felt malice and foul presence, but now focusing on its aura, for the first time in her life she felt both aroused and frightened at the immense presence of the mighty beast. "You unbelievable. He heard about how magnificent dragons were, but this amount of authority, it's just unbelievable," Sum said, shocked at the feeling, her body still shivering slightly after such intense presence. Tell me about it," Hana weakly responded, doing a little worse than her mother since she was blushing and panting a little. "You should dry yourselves. The spar has ended and they will notice your excitement," Kuromaru said, amused, and gave them a low growl-like chuckle after seeing the Inuzuka women's red cheeks. Back on the grounds, Kiba was getting on his feet slowly after yielding his defeat. He took the bandana off and said heatedly, "Damn it. How the hell did you do that? I couldn't land a single shot and you hit me 5 times. Your breath, it wasn't easy to locate it, but you didn't concealed it very well. Once I found that, I focused on your breath, and as the spar went on, you got frustrated and started showing your presence. That's why I was able to make you submit." Naruto gave a calm reply while shrugging, angering the Inuzuka boy even more. "Why you?" Kiba angrily said while approaching Naruto in a threatening manner. "Kiba, that's enough. Accept your defeat and turn that embarrassment into motivation to get better." He beat you fair, so own it. The Inuzuka matriarch chided her son before she looked back at the boy that has piqued her curiosity. And good match, Naruto, your skills are quickly growing sharp. Sume said while getting close to the boys, using a seductive tone when she praised the blonde's growth, earning a small spark of jealousy from her daughter. Thank you, Lady Sume. It wasn't easy, but I appreciate the remark. Hee, Naruto said while blushing at both the praise and the tone of her voice. Just Sume, brat, Sume said with a feral smile while waving her hand in dismissal. Arg, whatever, Kiba said angrily before walking away, dragging Shino with him after the latter bid goodbye to those present. Sigh, prideful as ever, he definitely needs a humbling, Hana said, disappointed of her little brother's arrogance. She then brought her gaze back to Naruto and added, anyway, great match, Naruto. Seeing now, I can say, I have nothing more that I can teach you. As you grow up, your senses will only get sharper, so keep on training and don't hesitate on asking for my help. Hana showed a little glimpse of sadness and disappointment at the idea of not training the boy anymore. Sensing her sadness, the blonde said, thank you, Hana. You helped me so much already. And don't feel sad, you're still one of my dreaded handlers, along with Ko. Naruto gave a small laugh, trying to cheer the brunette a little. Haha, you're right, it won't take long for your next prank to come, I'm sure. Hana said with a brighter tone now. Well, thank you for your hospitality, Hana and Sume. I gotta go meet the old man though, so I gotta run, but I'll see ya both around, aight. Night. He gave them a warm smile that made them both blush and then began to walk away. Nodding and bidding him a good night, they stared at the retreating form of the boy, smiling while feeling their bodies still affected by his incredible aura. He's an interesting one, Hana said to her mother, wearing a content smile. Indeed, Sume replied, still feeling a little flustered. It was a cool night in the village hidden in the leaves, and Naruto was lazily walking through the streets with his hands behind his head. He was currently grumbling about the way the people in the Inuzuka compound were behaving around him. Damn it. Just what the hell did you do, Ryu? It's been 3 years and you haven't told me why people become either aggressive or aroused at my presence. And stop saying that is because I look better with the changes you made to my body. Even Hana's mother, who I know has a reputation of being one the toughest kunoichi around, had her heart beating erratically, so I know there's more to it. Naruto heatedly asked the dragon through his mind. When he finds out why, he's either going to kiss my claws or lose his shit, hee. Single quote. The dragon mischievously thought before answering, shut it, brat. I already told you. When you are ready, you'll know everything that's changed and the why. So stop bothering me with your damn questions until then. Why is that so upsetting to you, anyways? Don't you like the way you make females excite in your presence? Is it because you don't swing that way, perhaps? It replied with an amused smirk after Naruto's ire aroused for questioning his. Oi, I'm not gay, ya oversized lizard. I like 'em girls. It wouldn't be a problem if only the women around me were affected. The males are the problem, ya fool. Most of 'em tend to be aggressive towards me, ya know. And I can feel it's not because they have a grudge against you. Naruto retorted back, remembering two certain Inuzuka's derrieres. Firm, weren't they? The struggle you had against your nosebleed was certainly entertaining. 12 Wings said, amused at Naruto's angry grunt. Now enough with your complaints. You'll know when I see fit. No sooner, no later. The mighty beast finished the discussion right there, making its annoyance clear. Sighing in resignation, knowing that the beast will not say a thing about it anymore, he decided to let it go for now while he found himself on the corner of the roof of an opposite building from the Hokage Tower. So, you're really going through with this, huh? The dragon asked, changing the subject. Yeah, it's been eating me ever since I found out. I really need confirmation now. He replied the dragon. Naruto then took a deep breath and jumped through the Hokage's office's window, sweat dropping after seeing his leader giggling perversely while reading a small orange book. Hoo, Yuna, you naughty girl. The pervert known as the third Hokage said, a mad blush on his wrinkled cheeks and a small drop of blood running down his nose all the while. Oi, ya old pervert! Naruto screamed, startling the perverted Hokage in the process. Seriously, he's always reading that smut. He thought with annoyance at always seeing his adoptive grandfather reading that perverted book. Wah, oh, ahem, and Naruto, my boy, how are you doing? The third said after frantically hiding his book on a keyed drawer. Naruto just walked to the couch that was below the Hokage pictures before answering, nothing special really, chillin', just wanted to chat. Oh, that sounds good my boy. How's been your training with the 12 wings, Itachi and Hana? Hiruzen asked the blonde while signing some of the paperwork on his desk. He had already sent his Anbu guards a silent signal for them to leave Hiruzen alone with the blonde. The old man had the feeling that his surrogate grandson wanted to discuss something private, so he allowed them complete privacy. Painful. Naruto complained, earning a chuckle from the third, but I can't deny it has worked. Ryu has been teaching me how to fortify my mind to counter its power's ill will so I can begin to summon it without too much fear of losing my mind, he then added. Big bro Itachi has been giving me hell with weights all over my body to improve my physique and my speed while he kicks my. He massaged his butt as if trying to get rid of some ghostly pain, and my training of smell and hearing with Hana just ended today. She said that she had nothing more that she could teach me at the moment, so I guess that's it. Naruto finished while looking at his father's portrait. That sounds impressive Naruto. Never thought the dragon would be so eager to help. Hiruzen said, not missing the direction Naruto's eyes were looking at, what about your jutsus? He then asked, trying to avert the boy's attention from the pictures. Well, I know some basic fire and earth jutsus. I've perfected the substitution and the henge. The clone jutsu I just can't seem to do it though. Itachi said that I just had too much chakra for that in genjutsu, but I cover it with the shadow clones you taught me old man, and Ryu has been teaching me how to blow true dragon's fire. Naruto replied while puffing his chest with pride over his skills. True dragon's fire? The third asked in confusion. Yup, apparently, the fire that a true dragon blows is as hot as magma, so it has been teaching me how to do it. Naruto explained before getting back on his feet. That sounds impressive. The third said with a strange nervousness starting to creep up on his gut after seeing the serious look that Naruto was showing. Yeah, Naruto said while giving his back to the Hokage. He then took a deep breath and asked, old man. Did he hesitated that day? His gaze was directed at the picture of Minato Namikaze. Who and what day? The third responded while dreading the answer he already knew. Keeping his gaze at the picture of the fourth Hokage, he said with more volume, my father, the day Ryu attacked, did he hesitated when he sealed it in me. He then looked at the third straight in the eyes with a stern look not fit for an 8-year-old. What? Naruto, how did you knew that the fourth? Hiruzen exclaimed with his jaw on the floor. You just confirmed it, old man. Naruto responded with a devilish smirk. I had my suspicions since I was 5. It's not really hard to see my resemblance with my father, as long as you really look into it that is, plus, I found it hard to believe that the beloved fourth would just take an orphan child and seal a big dragon inside him, not if he wasn't willing to do the same with his own son. He looked back at the Hokage and continued. Kushina Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki of the 9 tails, she was my mother right? Don't lie to me Hiruzen, not anymore. He said with a harsh tone that demanded authority. Wincing at the venom used on Minato's title and the harshness on his tone at the question relating Kushina, Hiruzen took a deep breath and answered resigned, yes Naruto, Minato and Kushina were your parents. The reason you weren't told was because of their enemies. Especially your father's. If Rock were to know that the Yellow Flash had a son, I don't doubt they would go as far as to wage war just to have payback on Minato for decimating their army in the Third Great War, he said sadly and tiredly. He dreaded this conversation for so long now, but there was nothing to do now but to answer truthfully. Your heritage was to be revealed to you when you either achieved the rank of Jonin or reached the age of 18. I, I'm so sorry Naruto, for lying to you. Quote. The Hokage said apologetically while a lone tear traveled down his cheek. With a heavy sigh, Naruto stared at the floor for a couple of seconds, processing all of the information he just received. Even having my suspicions for some years now, it's still not easy to hear the truth, damn. He thought solemnly. He then looked back at the Hokage and said, I understand, but, you didn't answer my question though, did they hesitated or not? He said with a stern look and a harsher tone. Giving a defeated look, the third said, I honestly don't know Naruto, that is something that only they could answer, but I'm sure that it was the most painful decision of their lives, I'm sure they didn't won. He couldn't finish though, because Naruto cut him off when he interjected bitterly. Yeah, that's sad and all, but it really doesn't matter anyway now does it? Naruto's bitter voice could be heard saying while leaning on the window frame, looking at the village. Sigh. I guess not. Ho, how do you feel about them, Naruto? Hiruzen asked with a painful sigh and a sorrowful look. Naruto remained with his left shoulder leaned on the window and his eyes closed. He let some minutes go to recollect his thoughts and search for an answer. He then opened his eyes and while keeping his gaze on the distance, he said, I don't know, sigh, it's not hate, but it's not love either, I guess one day, maybe I'll know. His voice was sour and distant. I feared as much, I knew one way or another he would resent you Minato, Kushina, I just hope that resentment does not turn into hatred or it could lead him to a very dark path. The third thought with a sad look, feeling his real age for the first time in years, I see, he replied after some seconds of uncomfortable silence. After some minutes of more silence, Naruto walked in front of the Hokage's desk and with arms crossed, asked, did they left anything for me? Something that could help me with my career. Nodding, the third replied after a sigh, actually yes, they did. The old-timer then walked towards the previous Hokage pictures, he took the fourth's picture and removed a hidden lock on the back, revealing a scroll, he took it and gave it to Naruto then while explaining, they left this for you, I don't know all the contents, but Minato instructed to give it to you after you were told of your heritage. I see, is it all? The blonde took it and said after looking at it. No, your parents' fortune is yours, I believe the instructions to claim it are in the scroll. Your parents' house is yours as well, there might be some scrolls and books that'll help you on their library, but I'm afraid you won't be able to live there until you reach the Chunin rank, I could try and force Th. He was saying until Naruto cut him off again. Don't worry about it, I'll just pick the stuff that can help me, I have no interest on that house or anything but the knowledge. Naruto said with a considerable amount of bitterness in his voice. Sigh. I see, well, it's yours anyway so you can do with it whatever you want. Hiruzen replied with a sad smile when seeing Naruto's conflicted feelings for his parents. Well, thanks old man, I better get going so I can go through the stuff in here. Itachi gave me the week to rest before the start of the academy, so there might be something to do in here. Naruto said while walking to the office's window, well, see you around old man. He said while getting ready to leave. Alright Naruto, have a good night, I'll be here if you need me. The third said with a grandfatherly smile. With a slight nod, Naruto left for the roofs and headed to his apartment, leaving a third Hokage to melt on his chair while looking at the ceiling, with a defeated feeling flooding his heart. While the conversation between Naruto and the Hokage was taking place, a beautiful raven-haired woman was walking through the Uchiha compound towards the council room. She could feel the tension brewing inside the clan and knew that whatever her husband and the rest of the clan's leadership were planning, could have dire consequences for the clan. I just hope whatever it is, does not involve any of my boys. She nervously thought. The Blackett arrived soon after at the council room and could see that she was the last one to get there. She greeted those present and took her place next to her husband who was seated in the clan's head place. She was the original heiress to the clan but after an arranged marriage, Fugaku took Makoto's place as clan head so she could take care of their children, or so they say. She knew that the rest of the Uchiha elders didn't want someone as kind and warm as Makoto to lead, since the Uchiha wanted to keep the appearance of a powerful and superior clan. Makoto never saw herself or the other Uchiha as better than the rest of the village. Ultimately, that cost her the head seat, not that she minded at all anyway. As long as she had her sons, she didn't care for anything else, not even her husband. Very well. Now that everyone is here, allow me to get to the reason why I called you all tonight. Quote. Fugaku stated after seeing his wife on her place. He then crossed his fingers in front of his face while his elbows rested on the table and continued, "It is no secret that the Hokage and their advisors have been pushing us further and further from the village's matters, trying to isolate us on the corner of the village, forgetting the fact that we are also founders of this village." Quote. He said sternly but loud before continuing, "It was Madara who alongside Hashirama Senju made truce and together, founded this great village. But it was the same Madara that saw that the Senju were making sure that no Uchiha would take place as ruler of the Leaf. It went as far as even having the second Hokage, Tobirama Senju, moving our compound to the corner of the village and giving us the task to form the police force. With the excuse that he could not trust anybody else with the protection of the village, and as the fools he believed us, we fell for those deceiving words, but not Madara. He saw through such lies of the Senju. He warned us, but we didn't listen. He warned that another Senju would take the place of Hashirama once he retired, and we blindly trusted the Senju. We followed our rival clan's leader instead of our own. And even after Madara's death at the hands of the very one that we trusted, we kept our words to ourselves. Once Tobirama was chosen as the second, we trusted him and he ended up pushing us to the corner, treating us like a second-rate clan. He even made sure no Uchiha would ever be chosen to lead the village, even a clanless fool was chosen as the fourth." Fugaku heatedly stated. Kano, one of the three elders of the clan, stood and asked what was on everyone's mind. "We are very aware of our past mistakes and everything you're saying, Fugaku, but what are you getting at here? I doubt you called us just to reminisce." Fugaku stood and walked to the center of the room. Looking at those present, he replied, "Yes, I didn't call you to remember our misfortunes, I called you so we can take action. The Senju are gone, only one is left and she has no interest in the village. And now, even second-rate clans like the Sarutobi and the Hyuga are taking the power that we created. That is unacceptable. What are you suggesting, Fugaku?" Umi Uchiha, another elder, asked. Fugaku looked around the room and with a stern face and a serious tone, he replied, "That we claim our right. If they don't accede to it, then we take it by force if we must." The room was deadly quiet. Everyone was pondering on the Uchiha clan head's words. Seeing the dangers that such action could bring, Makoto decided to be the voice of reason before her clan's own arrogance drives them to their own doom. "Fugaku, think about what you're saying. This could lead the village to a civil war. We would be damaging our own home." She countered frantically, hoping that her clansmen could see what such action would entail. "The clan is our home, Makoto. Don't forget that. There will be no need for a civil war if the village recognizes our claim. We are Uchiha first." Fugaku exclaimed coldly. "Fugaku is right. We cannot tolerate this treatment anymore. The village is mainly feared because of us. It is only fair that one of us leads." An Uchiha counselor said. "But how are you planning to go about this, Fugaku?" Eko Uchiha, the last of the elders, questioned. "Hiruzen is a wise man. He prefers peaceful action than one that will harm others. I will speak to him. I'll make sure he promises to choose his successor in one of us. If he refuses, we'll use Itachi's new spot as an Anbu captain to spy on the Hokage so we can find a time to strike, either quietly or loud," Fugaku said, making Makoto's heart break after hearing her husband's plan with their son. But before she could state her refusal, an elder interrupted her. "Will Itachi agree to this?" Umi questioned. "He will. He's an Uchiha and my son, he won't refuse," Fugaku coldly stated before receiving the okay from the council. He adjourned the meeting and proceeded to leave, leaving a shattered Makoto alone in the room, confused at what to do next. Damn it, Fugaku. What am I supposed to do now? Makoto thought while grabbing her head to try and ease her migraine. Naruto arrived to his apartment feeling anxious and still a bit troubled for the conversation he just had with the third. Seeing the front of the building and seeing the graffiti with insults towards him just made him bitterer at the thought of his parents' decision. Seriously, just why would they even think that people will respect me? Naruto thought while opening his door. He got to the kitchen and cooked a cup of instant ramen while mentally preparing to open the scroll. Aight, here goes nothing I guess. He grabbed the scroll and sat on the floor. Grabbing a kunai, he cut his thumb and let a drop of his blood drop on the scroll. The scroll opened and it revealed 3 drawn squares with words written on them. The first one said, letters, the second one said, scrolls, while the last one said, inheritance. Focusing on the one that says, letters, he poured some chakra into it. It then revealed 2 scrolls, one was red while the other one was yellow. Grabbing the red one, Naruto saw that on the side had the name, Kushina, written on it, and after opening it, it revealed a letter which he began to read. Dear Naruto, hello my beautiful baby, I am your mother. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be with you and watch you grow up, so in case I don't, let me tell you something about me so you can know me a bit. My name is Kushina Uzumaki and I was born in the Edi village in Whirlpool country, but when I was 7, I was chosen to be the next Jinchuriki of the 9-tailed fox, since Granny Mito was getting too old to hold it. Sadly, a few years after I got to Konoha, my home village was destroyed along with the rest of my clan. This was one of the reasons that set off the Third Great War. I would guess that by the time you read this, you'll be the last of the Uzumaki, but I know you won't be alone. You'll probably have my bloodlines as well. This are lava and boil release. I left you some scrolls with all the knowledge I have about them. I'm sure you can find somebody to help you with them. I also leave you my katana. It's a special blade made by an expert of the Uzumaki clan. You don't know how much it pains me to leave you. When I found out that I was pregnant with you, me and your father were so happy. I was already imagining all the things that we would live as a family, but sadly, it appears that life had another plan for us. Just know that I love you with all my heart and that you will always carry a piece of my soul with you, my baby. Remember that me and your father will always be watching you and we'll be waiting for you when your time comes. Live at the fullest and without regrets, my boy. Pay attention in school. Don't stay up late and eat healthy. I love you so much, Naruto, never doubt that. P.S. Stay away from ramen. Your father was an addict to it, but it's not good for your health. And also, when you find Kurama, take care of her. She might be a bitch at first, but she's just lonely. Love, your mommy, Kushina Uzumaki. HN, lava and boil release. That sounds cool. I wonder if I do have them. And who the hell is Kurama? Naruto thought, apparently not fazed by the dark spots on the letter that signaled that his mother was crying or even the letter at all. Grabbing the yellow scroll then, he saw that it also had a name on the side, although this one said, Minato, so doing the same with it, he opened it and began to read it. Yo Naruto. Hey boy, how is it going? I'm your old man. I know that there must be a lot of things going through your mind once you hear the truth of your heritage. Whatever you feel right now, my boy, know that leaving you is the hardest thing I can have ever go through, but I hope that in time, you come to understand our reasons. I know it won't be enough, but your mother and I will always be in your heart. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Minato Namikaze and I was an orphan. I never knew my parents or anybody who shared my last name, but Hiruzen took care of me when I left the orphanage and went to the academy, where I met you, mother. I had the dream to become Hokage to protect everyone, especially you and your mother, a dream which I achieved when I was named the 4th after the Third Great War. The reason that the knowledge of your heritage was kept hidden from you was because of the enemies I made in the war, especially Rock. The whole village loathes me, so I trust that now that you are strong, you can take on anything that is thrown at you. There's something about me that nobody else but your mother knows. I recently discovered that I have a bloodline, is called magnetic release. It's a rare bloodline possessed by a very few. mainly in the land of wind, along with my wind affinity probably means that I hail from there, so I believe that you may inherit that along with your mother's bloodlines. I also left you my most precious jutsus, especially the Rasengan, which I believe you can finish it since I never got to do it, and the Flying Thunder God, which earned me the nickname of the Yellow Flash. I know you can take it even further that I could. Whatever you choose to become, know that I'll always be proud of you, my boy, and that I love you without measure. I'll be waiting with your mom when your time comes. Be safe and live your life at the fullest. With love, Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage and your father. Another bloodline and those two jutsus. Well, now that'll certainly come in handy. Single quote. Naruto thought after finishing reading. He stored the letters in the scroll again and poured some of his chakra on the next square in the scroll, where after a poof of smoke, a medium-sized wooden box appeared. Opening it, he found 8 green scrolls with the word wind on the sides, 8 white scrolls with the word lightning written on the sides, 4 cream-colored scrolls with the word boil, 5 bright red scrolls with the word lava, 1 dark gray with the word magnetic, and 2 yellow scrolls, one with the word Rasengan, and the other thunder. Oh, this is cool, but I probably shouldn't try them until I show them to Big Bro. Naruto thought. Storing them again, he then focused on the last square with the word inheritance, pouring some chakra into it. It revealed a scroll with instructions on how to gain access to his parents' state and how to open the safe with all of their money and most precious possessions, and his mother's katana with its sheath. Storing everything on the scroll and sealing it again, he went to his wardrobe where he moved his shoes out of the way and removed a piece of wood to hide the scroll in the hole below it. Moving back to his bed, he took his shoes and jacket off, laid on his bed and just stared at the moon trying to understand just what the hell were his feelings towards his parents until sleep eventually caught up with him and dozed off. Inside his mindscape, the 12 Wings was silently watching everything through its container's eyes, deciding not to interfere and just let him figure everything out by himself. The dragon then closed its eyes and before sleep claimed it as well. It thought, if he doesn't figures out what are his feelings for them, I'll need to step in before our curse seizes the confusion to claim him. Makoto Uchiha was pacing around her home like crazy. She was going mad on her head trying to find a way out of this mess, and she knew that she had to choose between her family and her village. On one hand, she didn't really care much for her clan. She has grown bitter towards them since she was a child. She hated to see how her clansmen treated others and hated how she got a reprimand every time she hung out with people outside her clan. But even so, her 2 sons were also part of the clan and they were her life, but the thought of sacrificing innocent people in a civil war just to show that they were the strongest clan was unbearable. Damn it! What do I do? What do I do? Makoto thought while trying to calm herself. Going to her backyard, she sat on the steps that led to the grass and stared at her younger son training with shuriken. Fugaku is even trying to turn Sasuke like him, an arrogant little prick. Doesn't matter how much I try to make Sasuke understand that he can be his own person, he only cares for Fugaku's acknowledgement. She thought bitterly. She hated to see her younger son like this. Makoto. Breaking out of her troubled thoughts, she turned around and saw her husband walking towards her. With a small frown on her face, she bid a good morning to him before he said, "Come, Itachi is waiting." Getting up, she followed Fugaku to a room where Itachi was waiting for them. Kneeling in front of him, he took on a kneeling position as well and said, "Good morning, father and mother, what is it that you wish to discuss with me?" Itachi loves the village more than he loves the clan. I know that he won't go along with this, not willingly. Makoto thought with worry at the idea of her son being forced into this madness. She then looked at her husband with a hint of hate before he explained. Itachi, your clan needs you. You've seen how the Hokage and his elders treat us, putting other clans ahead of us, co-founders of this village, denying our right at the Hokage seat. The clan, your family, cannot take this anymore, so we are going to act. Fugaku, strangely, was showing a little bit of eagerness. Sigh, I knew this would happen. Itachi kept his gaze to the ground as if processing the information he just received. Looking up at his father's eyes again, he replied with an expressionless look, I understand, father. What is it you wish me to do? What? This can't be happening, and not him too, please. Makoto was shocked at hearing her eldest son seemingly agreeing with the plot. With a small smirk on his face, Fugaku said to his son, now that you've reached the Anbu captain rank, you only answer to the Anbu commander and the Hokage, so for the time being, just inform us of everything you see around, especially when you guard Hiruzen. When the time comes to make our move, I'll tell you what's next. Getting back on his feet, he looked down at Itachi, waiting for his answer. Itachi stood up and turned to leave, but before he did, he looked back over his shoulder and with a small nod, he said, I understand. He then left the room with those words, followed shortly by Fugaku. Makoto felt despaired now. She could only look at the ground, and with a small tear on her cheek, she thought, no, this can't be happening, damn it, what do I do now? She desperately grabbed her hair trying to stop the headache. Thinking of a solution, she was able to come up with an idea. I can't betray my children, no matter what, they're my family and I cannot let them fall through this path, but. Heading to her kitchen, she sat on a chair and looked at the sky through the window, thinking, but, I can at least warn Hiruzen, even if it is my family, the village does not deserve this, but how do I do that? I'm sure Fugaku knows I'm not okay with this, so he'll be keeping an eye on me. She dug her brain hard trying to come up with a way to warn the third until it finally hit her, Naruto. She then quickly made her way to the bedroom and wrote on a small paper sheet, and after finishing, she folded it and applied a seal. She then got back to her kitchen and prepared 2 small lunches. Makoto knew who the boy was, of course. He looked exactly like his father at his age. She was best friends with Kushina and had a crush on Minato when they were young, but was a good friend to him as well. She could not take care of the boy because it would raise suspicion, so she put Itachi on the task. She felt relieved when Itachi began proclaiming that Naruto was his little brother, just like Sasuke, only she knew that, of course. Once in a while, she would go and visit the blonde and spend some time with him. The boy even developed a crush on her, which she found cute, though, being around the boy made her strangely excited. But, since Fugaku knew of her visits to the Jinchuriki, he says nothing about it since he knows of the boy's parents and Makoto's friendship with them, so he has no reason to suspect. He's close to Hiruzen and usually spends time with him in private, so he can deliver my message and Fugaku would not suspect anything. I'll have to leave Itachi's involvement out. I can't let anything happen to him. I'll just warn Hiruzen of the turmoil in the clan. Packing everything she needed, she went and gave Sasuke a small kiss on his forehead and soon later, took off to find the blonde. I just hope everything works out in the end. Naruto was laying on the ground, panting hard. He just finished training some taijutsu moves that he's been doing since the morning. Since the academy was just 2 days to start, he wanted to get sharper at everything he learned in the 3 years he's been training with Itachi and the 12 wings so that he can have a head start. Oh shit, maybe if I show that I'm better than the academy's students, the old man will let me graduate earlier, or even skip the academy altogether. Standing up, he grabbed some water from the river and refreshed his hair and face. Hello Naruto, he suddenly heard his name being called by an angelical voice. Turning around, he felt his heart skip a beat at seeing his crush, Makoto Uchiha. Oh yeah, he had a big crush on the Uchiha matriarch. Don't get him wrong though, he liked Kat, Anko and Hana as well, but Makoto's lovely attitude and cooking just made him develop a crush on Itachi's mother, even more so when she once in a while came to spend some time with him. What is his hair and eyes glowing? She thought while looking at his hair and eyes. She then asked, Naruto, sweetie, why is your hair and eyes glowing? Are you alright? She kneeled down to comb his hair with her fingers and looked directly at his beautiful glowing blue eyes, feeling strangely swayed by them. Gulp, It was one of the ch changes the 12 wings did to me. Miko, I might. Don't worry, just have to hide the changes to other people though. I guess I was so caught up with ma training that I didn't realize you were here, hee. Naruto said with a mad blush and a heavy stutter due to seeing her so close to him, as well as the feel of her soft hands brushing his hair so delicately. Standing up and fighting her blush down, Makoto looked at the side while taking her hand to her chest and said, "Oh, alright, it does look as striking, and amazingly beautiful, but if you say that is alright, then I'll believe you," she said, giving him a gorgeous smile while having a battle within herself. Geez Makoto, what the hell is wrong with you? He's a kid, although, he'll grow up like his father, damn it, shut it. Alright, so what you doing here Miko? Not that I'm complaining though, hee. Naruto said with a nervous laugh. Regaining her composure, Makoto remembered the reason of her visit and responded, "What? I can't come to visit you any longer," she said with a playful hurt tone on her voice, smiling at the boy's quick refusal, waving his hand furiously to the sides. She then continued, "I'm kidding sweetie, don't worry, I came to bring you this." She pointed to the lunches she brought, "So come on, let's go and eat them." She grabbed him by the wrist and took him to the side of the river, where they sat down resting below the shadow of a tree and started eating peacefully. That was great Miko. I love your food, it's the best," Naruto said while giving her a wide smile and a thumbs up. Giggling at his enthusiasm and his ever-present praise to her food, she said, "Well, I'm glad you liked it Naruto." She then fidgeted a little and added, "Now, before I go, I wanted to ask you for a favor, if it's possible," she said while giving him a cute look to convince him. Which it worked immediately because the blonde was giving her a smile and a blazing fire in his eyes while he quickly replied, "What?" "Of course Miko. Whatever it is. You know that I will gladly walk through a river of lava while carrying a goat on fire if it makes you happy," he exclaimed with a macho voice while flexing his muscles to impress her, not lying about what he would do for his love in the slightest. Which it also worked since he wasn't wearing a shirt and along with his glowing eyes and hair, he definitely looked damn good. Damn it Makoto, for God's sake, he's your late best friend's son, control yourself. Single quote. Fighting down her blush again, she giggled at his words and replied, Now, there's no need to go that far sweetie, I just need you to deliver this to the Hokage next time you see him, just make sure that you are alone okay? It's very important that not even the Anbu are present, okay?" She handed him the folded sheet. "You can count on me Miko. I'll make sure to deliver this to the old man when we're alone, but, it's everything alright?" Naruto grabbed the envelope and kept it on his backpack before asking with worry evident in his voice. "Oh yes, everything it's alright sweetie, it's just something I need to discuss with him, that's all." Quote. Getting on her feet, she dusted her dress from the dirt on the ground and gave him a loving kiss on his cheek, which lasted longer than she intended to, leaving an incredibly red Naruto in the way. Smiling after breaking the kiss, she said lovingly, "Well Naruto, I got to go now, don't overdo the training, alright? And good luck at the academy, you know that whatever you need help with, you can just ask Itachi for me and I'll come right away." She then flashed him a dazzling smile and added, "Well, I'll see you next week, bye sweetie." She waved at him and left with a blush on her cheeks while thinking, I just hope that Hiruzen will be able to ease the clan. Damn, she's so beautiful yo. Naruto thought while touching the cheek that Makoto kissed. Deciding to call it a night, he picked up his stuff and walked home, thinking about a dark-haired beauty on the way back home. Three figures walked towards the Hokage Tower. They were on a meeting with the civilian head counselor when an Anbu interrupted the meeting saying that they have been summoned by the Hokage to discuss an urgent matter. "What could be so important to call us at this hour? Do you have any idea Danzo, Kaharu?" Homura asked to his fellow elders who were walking beside him. "No idea, let's just hurry up and see what it is." Danzo replied dryly. keeping his cold demeanor. Arriving at the tower, they headed to the Hokage's office, and once outside of it, they knocked on the door. They heard the voice of the Hokage saying come in and proceeded to open the door. After the three walked into the room, they noticed that the third was there with Weasel at his side. We are here, Lord Hokage. What is it that you wish to discuss so urgently with us? Koharu asked after the three elders stepped into the room. Urging them to take a seat, Hiruzen motioned Weasel to come close and said, Yes, Weasel, please inform them of everything you just told me. Very well. Itachi removed his Anbu mask and began, as you might know, my clan is currently in a turmoil. My father and the rest of the council feel that we are not given the respect that we deserve, so they are planning to force Lord Third to choose his successor from the Uchiha clan, and if the Hokage is to refuse, they are planning to stage a coup to take control of the village by force. Also, they've asked me to spy on everything I see at Anbu HQ and whenever I guard Lord Hokage. He explained with a stern look. I knew that something was brewing inside the Uchiha clan, but to think they would go so far as to risk a civil war just to take the power of the village. Koharu said worriedly. She was a pacifist and she really didn't like where this was going. This is indeed very troubling, Lord Hokage. What is that you intend to do? Homura asked after fully registering Weasel's troubling words in his mind. I'm going to let Itachi report to his father and his clan, let them think we are oblivious to everything. Itachi said that Fugaku will come to try and convince me to oblige to their claims. I'll try to ease them then. I do not want things to spiral out of control. The Hokage said while massaging his temples, trying to ease his raging headache. We cannot let this go out of control. We need to assure that they pose no threat to our village. Does everyone in the Uchiha clan feel the same as the council? Danzo said. On the outside he seemed calm and calculative as ever, but on the inside he was greatly interested in this development that could present great advantages for the old war hawk. I'm afraid so. Everyone in my clan is taught to think as an Uchiha first, the village always comes second. Itachi said with a stoic face, not revealing the disappointment he feels towards his clan. And what about you? Why betray your clan and your father? Homura asked the Uchiha. Because I love the village, I serve the leaf first, it has always been that way. Itachi answered without a drop of doubt in his voice. Yes, thank you for your loyalty, Itachi. The third exclaimed with pride in his voice. But what do we do if the tension continues to rise? I don't believe they will easily accept to back down. Danzo said, with interest hidden in his words, an interest that both Hiruzen and Itachi managed to catch. I'll take care of it. Itachi responded without hesitation. What do you mean, Itachi? Hiruzen asked, not liking the sound of the Uchiha heir's ominous words. The problem is rooted deeply within the Uchiha's teachings. Even if we were to assassinate the Uchiha council, the idea to revolt will continue. The only way to avoid it will be if there's no one left to revolt. Itachi replied coldly, as if what he was hinting at was not disturbing him one bit. You're surely not suggesting, Koharu said with shock on her face, dreading the answer to come. Yes, Elder Koharu, if push comes to shove, I will decimate my clan, but it will be me who does it, no one else. Itachi said without hesitation or remorse in his words. Are we crazy? We are talking about slaughter here. An entire clan. Hiruzen, you can't possibly support this. Koharu exclaimed heatedly. This was madness. There was no excuse for slaughter. With a heavy sigh and a giant headache, he thought, I'm definitely getting too old for this shit. With closed eyes he then responded, Itachi is right, Koharu, as much as it pains me, if I have to choose between a civil war or the Uchiha clan, then I see no other way. They've been thinking this way since Tobirama sensei took the position. They've always thought the Uchiha comes before the village. His voice was tired and the remorse was palpable. Sigh. This is madness, Koharu muttered dejectedly. It's been a long time since I've seen you take the right choice, Hiruzen, although, I believe we shouldn't give them time to plan. Danzo said, urging for immediate action. No, the elimination is a last resort plan. I'm not going to go through with it if I can help it. I know that just like Itachi, there are Uchiha who are loyal to the village first. Quote. The third said while thinking, the message that Naruto gave me from Makoto supports that. She's just a desperate mother protecting her children. I cannot deny them the chance to straighten their path. Standing from his chair, Hiruzen looked at the village through his windows and said, then it's settled, we will continue normally. When the time comes, we'll proceed accordingly. Understood, Lord Hokage. The three elders said in unison before stepping out of the office, leaving the Hokage alone with Itachi. I'm sorry about this, Itachi. I cannot even fathom how hard it must be for you to do this, the third said to Itachi with an apologetic smile. It is not, Lord Hokage. I love my village and I will do everything in my power to protect it, even if it pits me against my own blood, but, I only have one request, Itachi said with stern eyes. The old Hokage nodded and took a seat to listen to the Uchiha teenager's request, praying to God that things don't unnecessarily escalate. Oh man, what time is it? Naruto muttered as he woke up at the morning light. Looking at his clock beside his bed, he freaked out saying, oh shit. I overslept, damn big bro's gone be mad. Heading to his bathroom, he quickly brushed his teeth, grabbed an energy bar after, and ate it on his way towards the forest of death. Running as fast as he could, he arrived at the clearing and looked around searching for Itachi. Not seeing him anywhere, he let out a breath of relief before going stiff at the sound of a voice that said, you're 30 minutes late, little brother, you didn't get sloppy on me this week now did you? Itachi said, coming out from behind a tree. Scratching the back of his head, he said nervously, what? No, I just overslept, thinking about stuff, ya know, hee. Haha, okay, I'll give you a pass for today. Itachi said while approaching him. He then sat down on the grass and asked Naruto, so, did you spoke to the Hokage about your parents? Sitting down on the grass as well, Naruto replied, yeah, I spoke with him and yes, the fourth and the Jinchuriki of the 9 tails were my parents. Quote. Looking down at the ground, he grabbed a scroll from his backpack and channeled some chakra into it, making the scroll open. Naruto then began to get all the contents out of it while saying, this is what they left me, they also left me their house but I really have no interest in living there, I'll just go and take the stuff I need from the library and the vault. I see, Itachi muttered before seeing the square with the word, letters, written on it. He figured that both Minato and Kushina left him some letters. Knowing his inner turmoil regarding his parents, he asked, did they wrote you some letters? Receiving a nod in confirmation he continued, and how do you feel about it? Looking at the sky while taking a deep breath, Naruto answered, I honestly don't know big bro, it's confusing really. Sighing heavily, Itachi said, I see, well, you'll need to figure it out soon little brother, conflicting feelings can have a negative impact on one's path, especially yours, whether as love or hate doesn't matter, as long as you know okay. Yeah, I understand, I'll figure it out, one way or another, Naruto conceded. He then remembered something that was written on his mother's letter and looking back at Itachi, he asked, Itachi, there was something weird on Kushina's letter. She said that I gotta find and take care of some girl named Kurama. Do you know who that is? Confused, Itachi started to think if he knew anyone with that name but not finding anyone in his mind, he shook his head in the negative. He said, there is a clan here in the Leaf with that name, they have a seat in the council as well but I don't think she was talking about them, but a girl named Kurama. I have no idea little brother, perhaps you should ask my mother. I believe she was close friends with Kushina and Minato, so maybe she knows who that is. Surprised at the revelation of his crush's friendship with his parents, he nodded and took the scrolls and laid them on the ground as he said, well, they left me these scrolls as well, apparently I may have 3 bloodlines, Kushina had the lava and boil release and Minato had the magnetic release, so they left me some scrolls for those in case I managed to activate them. Minato also left me these wind and lightning scrolls and the scrolls for the Rasengan and the flying thunder god. Naruto said, excited at the last two legendary jutsus. Well now, that is impressive. The magnetic release is one of the rarest bloodlines there is, but we won't know if you have them until the next few years. Bloodlines like those usually activate on the user's teenage years, so we'll focus on the wind jutsus for now. The Rasengan and the Thunder God will have to wait. The Rasengan is an A- rank jutsu, so when you manage to perfect everything I've taught you, we'll work on that one. The Thunder God though, that's an S class, so until you've perfected the Rasengan and everything else, you can focus on that, alright? Itachi said while reading some of the scrolls. Okay, so what we'll be doing today. I want to be the sharpest of my class so that maybe the old man would let me skip the academy and make me a shinobi already. Naruto said while pumping his fist at the air with an kicking look. Standing up, Itachi let a small chuckle at the blonde's excitement and replied, now, one step at a time Naruto, I was actually going to tell you that you're gonna have to lay low. Don't get too much attention to yourself, little brother. You're already a Chunin level ninja, so you'll have no trouble with school, but keep it low, okay? He ordered while ruffling his hair. Looking at him, Naruto whined loudly, what? But why? I don't wanna waste 5 years learning stuff I already know. I wanna go on mission and kick some, ya know. Looking at him dead on the eyes, Itachi hit Naruto's forehead with 2 fingers and said with a voice that left no debate, now little brother, take this as an order from me. Deception is a shinobi's biggest weapon. There is no need for you to show everything you know so early in the game, so keep a low profile, okay? Huff, aight, I'll do as you say then. Naruto said with a pout while massaging the spot that Itachi hit. They then proceeded to train on Naruto's jutsus and one of the wind jutsus that his father left him. The training went on for almost 5 hours and now both of them were eating lunch. Getting ready to begin his shift, Itachi ruffled Naruto's hair and said, well, I gotta go now, little brother, so rest for the remaining of the day so you can be fresh for tomorrow, okay? Receiving a nod from the blonde, he began to walk away, but before he was gone, he looked back and said, I believe my other little brother, Sasuke, will be in your class too, so do me a favor and try to befriend him, okay? He's a lone wolf like you, so I believe you two would make good friends, and who knows, if you two become best friends, you might be able to see my mother more often. Itachi then left with a chuckle at Naruto's red face. Turning around, Naruto picked his stuff up and headed home while thinking dreamily, can't deny that would be cool though. The academy's grounds were filled with children waiting for the beginning of the semester while the parents were glaring hard at the blonde Jinchuriki who was sitting on a swing hanging from a tree, not that he was giving them a damn though. Man, 5 years in this place, what a drag. Naruto thought while a pineapple head boy sneezed, mumbling something about somebody stealing his catchphrase. He then heard his name being called by a familiar loving voice, and after turning around, he saw his crush, looking as beautiful as ever, Miko. You're here to see Sasuke off? Naruto said, excited as always to see the most beautiful woman in the world for him. Well, and to see you off as well, sweetie. This is the beginning for my 2 boys to become men, she said while giving him a hug. She then rested her hands on his shoulders and said, I hope that you learn a lot and that you become the fine shinobi I know you'll be, sweetie. And I also hope that you and my Sasuke become friends, that way you can have an excuse to come visit more often. She then gave him a kiss on the forehead and said goodbye, leaving a dopey blonde behind. Getting out of his stupor, Naruto heard the bell ring and immediately headed towards his classroom. Once there, he headed to an empty seat near the window, and after he sat on his spot, a raven-haired boy with a familiar face sat next to him soon after he claimed his seat. This must be Sasuke, he looks like a ... single quote, Naruto thought. He then surveyed his surroundings and saw Kiba, who was looking at him with a challenging look. He was sitting next to the boy called Shino, who gave him a nod, and a cute blue-haired girl with a cream-colored hooded jacket who was looking at him through the corner of her lavender-colored eyes with a mad blush all over her face. He saw that even on their first day, There were already girls looking at both him and Sasuke with dreamy eyes. A pink-haired girl was looking hard at Sasuke while a blonde-haired girl was looking hard at him. Great, fangirls. His thoughts were cut short though, when the door of the room was opened. Hello everyone, my name is Aruka Yumino and I'll be your sensei for the next 5 years, the teacher now identified as Aruka said before trailing off on all the things that they were to learn for the remaining of their stay in the academy. With a heavy sigh, Naruto looked through the classroom in boredom when he suddenly locked eyes with Sasuke. The two narrowed their eyes at each other and entered into a small staring contest before both boys looked the other way with angry grunts. Looking back at the window, Naruto thought annoyed, 5 years here, yeah, this sucks.